you?
Who are you?
I almost interrupted, but I was like, that's rude. You were doing your little spiel. You're like, what day? Wait, is this the first race? I'm like, it's the first race, Larry.
I kind of like that. I like it when people interrupt me, especially if
I missed my window. I hesitated.
Well, okay. It's fun. It's fun when you're a normal, regular character on my show, you know, and then you just pop up on another.
We build too many cars.
Yeah, I think that's cool. So this is not a drift car.
This is not a drift car.
Even though it looks like your drift car.
It looks exactly like my drift car. And so many people come by, they're like, whoa, is that? I'm like, no. And they're like, well, like, what engine? Is that the same as your drift car? I'm like, no. It actually makes 1,000 horsepower less.
1,000 horsepower?
Yeah, less.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah, that's a real fun fact, actually.
Fun fact. So this is a Gridlife GLTC touring car.
Yeah, GLTC, Gridlife Touring Cup.
Yeah, and the fun thing is you're not actually driving this.
No.
You are a team manager.
Oh yeah, hang on. All right, now I'm ready.
Yeah, that's
now
you.
I'm ready.
That's
All right,
you.
I can do this interview now. You got my mic now?
So the thing is, you got a crazy wheelman, Mr. Heitkotter, but he's a crazy wheelman. But it's kind of fun because you get to play, like you're the spotter.
Yeah.
You get to play team manager. You are actually giving him info a lot when he's actually doing these races, because it's multiple races a weekend, and the spotter plays such a big role because it is tight wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yeah, there's not too much we can see, and we're not like calling passes like NASCAR race. We have Russell out here. He's really helping with the setup. This is his home track. His shop's right around the corner, and he's really good at dialing in the road race stuff. Yeah, there he is. Wave, hi, Russell.
Hi, Mr. Wood Splitter, famous S-chassis wood splitter.
But oh yeah, I thought you were talking about his lumberjack look. The old wood splitter. I was like, yeah, I guess so.
No,
never really heard of it that way, but he actually had a wood splitter.
Yeah, he had a wood splitter.
But yeah, so he's helping with the setup, and we built this car back at my shop. You probably saw it in some sort of state before it got here in one of your visits. And so it is a 370Z, right? Just like my drift car. It's a completely new build though. A lot of people think it's one of my retired cars. We built this specifically for Gridlife Touring Cup. And the first thing we did was basically strip it all the way down, just like we do a regular drift car, roll cage it with the cage kits by Bending Solutions. So it's the same cage that we run in all of our setups.
You working out, bro?
Yeah, dude.
What the heck?
Gotta get these greens.
So why are you running so much weight?
So we actually, I was just gonna get to that. So the first thing we did was we stripped it down and we built the car as light as possible, especially last year because we were under different tire and weight rules, and we're running on the GT radial here last year, and we actually couldn't quite get the car light enough. So I was carrying about 80 extra pounds. So I was like, well, it's close, but obviously every pound counts. And we kind of like struggle with that, trying to make the street tire work. We would have been better if we had like a 315 tire, but we run, these are the 295/40 GT radial Champiro SX2 RS, just like the exact tires we run on the drift cars. Exact tires.
Exact.
Yeah, front and back. So this year the tire and weight rules changed, which actually benefited us. So the weights went up and the tire sizes went down. So we actually had to run the same tires as last year. We actually had to add like 400 pounds to the car.
No way.
Yeah.
400?
Almost. So I forget, it may be like 350, but whatever the number is. So this car weighs about 2580. It's like one of the lightest Z's ever made, right? 2580 with no driver, but fully built, all fluids, ready to go. But our, we got to put the mark here. Our weight when we hit the scales has to be 3156 with the driver.
So that's almost close to stock then.
Yeah.
What is stock?
Stock's like 33. So it's like 200 pounds less, but it's a full carbon fiber body. Like I said, we had to add like 400 pounds to it almost.
Where is the weight? So this is just a little bit of the
So we have most of the weights in the back and underneath the car. So the nice part is, proper race car stuff, yeah, right, learning. Build the car as light as possible, and then we add the weight where we want it. So we actually got to scale up to run these 295s, which is what we wanted to run, the GT radial drift tire, and we put all the weight in the back. So this is a very well-balanced Z.
So it's kind of like in FD, it's actually more beneficial to run a heavier car and a bigger tire versus a lighter car and smaller tires.
Similar. That's why you see all the cars out there with 2 batteries in the back and the cool suit and all the ballast they can run, and they're running on the 295s. It's a pretty similar weight class, but the horsepower comes into effect too for your weight. And so we got to add most of the weight to the back of the car. We got some nice fabrication, and then this is our weight rack for when you're doing well throughout the weekend. your overall weight goes up after each race.
It's kind of like what they used to do in
contingency
GT,
races,
or GT. GLTC.
So the winner needs to add. It's like basically, don't quote me because it's a percentage now, but it basically is like 75 pounds for first, 50 pounds for second, 25 for third, and a max overall of 150.
So by the end of the weekend, it's almost like
you're carrying a passenger.
I'm sitting shotgun, with Bryan as he's going into turn 1.
Yeah. So it's cool. Like we have the little weight rack, so we can add our weights to it on the floor on the right side, keeping him well balanced.
Can we take a look at that?
Yeah. So we built this as a APR wing. We built these custom stands. Rob cut these out on his table for us, and then we built these plates, and it all mounts in. This is like max width, height, and everything that we can run in the specs.
And because you're running this, you actually have to take a penalty somewhere else, right?
Yes. So there's a percentage to run certain things: the front splitter, a rear wing, a flat torque modifier, as they call it. So when you detune your car, they look at basically the torque versus your horsepower. They determine a percentage and they give it to you, and that goes against your weight. You have to carry extra weight for that. So we're plus 7%.
And the reason why they have to do this is because I think, in my eyes, GLTC is the most exciting touring car racing.
I think so.
The most modern. And that's why you can build a 370Z and you can race it against Civic SIs, Corvettes, BMWs, S2000s, BRZs, anything you bring, the craziest cars. I mean, what have we seen? Like Grand Nationals and like weird, I don't know.
I don't know if we've seen that.
We've seen like some
we've seen
really
like a lot
weird,
of
like a Saturn Sky.
Yeah. There's Oh, you're talking about in drifting?
No.
Oh, in this?
No, in GLTC.
In GLTC.
Like, over time, we've had some really weird cars.
Yeah, they have had some weird ones
Honda
show up.
Fits, everything.
Some Fit. We had like a Civic EF. A lot of random ones. But what's cool is, like I said, when they redid that weight setup for this year, it actually, they nailed it on the numbers. The front 5 cars were all in the front stretch together, 2 cars apart at times, right? And we had a couple switches, a couple guys moved down, a couple guys moved up. And so before, usually somebody was kind of getting the runaway, 2 or 3 guys are battling here and there. We had the top 5 running together that entire race, which is awesome. And you had a front-wheel drive TSX, you had a S2000, you had a Corvette, you had another S2000, then we had our Z.
So that's the fun. Okay, the fun thing for me is that they started as street cars, streetcar chassis, and on top of that, you are wheel-to-wheel racing this close with different platforms, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and
you
whatever.
Really see that.
You could do mid-engine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
You don't really see that anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so their horsepower to weight with the percentages for front-wheel drive gets a decrease in percentage actually, and I don't know what the all-wheel drive, I don't even know if there is an all-wheel drive allowed or the percentage for that. And different transmissions, you get a percentage on that. So they have it pretty well calculated out. And like I said, it was a very stacked field, better than ever.
I think part of it is because over the years, as the positions play out, they have to modify everything a little bit just to get it as close as possible. Then what it comes down to really is driver.
Yeah.
Right?
And we got a hell of a shoe. So Bryan Heitkotter, he's a 10-time SCCA autocross champion. And he also was the first winner of the GT Academy with Nissan and Nismo when they actually took the sim racers, flew them to Silverstone, put them in a Top Chef style, real life racing situation, and they went through the eliminations. He wins the whole thing, and he got a ride racing for Nissan. He first started racing the 370Z, and then they put him in the GTR GT3 car, the proper World Challenge, Pirelli World Challenge, GT3 car that's doing.
He
came
out
here. Yeah, the GTR. And he was out here racing that thing, doing 205s, which is faster than any time attack car here, which is hilarious, and they do it for hours. Like, that car is moving. And these guys are barely getting one lap.
Yeah.
You know, and you got like these guys barely doing it for one lap, and he's just doing it for, you know, hours on end.
And those things are very restricted too.
Very restricted,
they don't even
yeah.
have that much power.
About 500 horsepower, yeah. So it's a pretty restricted engine, but just absolute amazing engineering and aero. So to take a car that makes almost a third of the power as like the life car and still running a faster time than them for like 6 hours straight. Pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
Mainly the aerodynamics and the tire and just the overall setup versus they're just after, well, most of the time attack guys are after just sheer horsepower and some aero.
Right.
But yeah, those guys just have it dialed in. But yeah, so Bryan actually won 7 races in that car and podiumed like 14 or something. So like was an absolute ripper. So now he gets to drive a car that makes very little power.
1,000 left.
1,000 less than mine. Yeah. So this car makes, it is allowed to make 236 wheel horsepower. So we had to take 100 horsepower out of it.
That is so little.
Yeah.
Like that is.
So we do it with the throttle body, right? So we have you know, a tune on the computer, and it's funny when he's going down the straight, like, you know, the little throttle percentage on the dash, it's just like, you know, it's like 100, and like as soon as it gets over like 4 grand, it's like 90, 80, 60, and then it goes down to like 25%.
So does it even make? Okay, I see. So you do it based on because it's drive-by-wire.
Yeah. So the graph pulls up, and as soon as it hits basically like 230, it just plateaus, and it just basically it sits in like 230, 235 that whole way out.
So it's actually still beneficial for you to run the 3.7 liter because there's a gap, right, where you need to.
Or it makes a little more torque. Yeah.
Versus if you went down to like a VQ30 even, where it would pretty much make that power, or VQ, even a 35 first gen, right?
Yeah. 35, yeah.
It's actually better though because you, like you said, the torque.
We thought about trying to do like a turbo 4-cylinder setup in the car and getting the front end real light. But then when the new rules came out, we're like, oh, I think we can nail our numbers. And so this thing is like almost dead even 50-50. It's like one of the most balanced Zs we've ever built. But yeah, so like just a little bit of TIM work back here. And so we have you know, our fire suppression system, our fuel safe fuel cell, some radium components, the surge tank and everything. And you know, this stuff is working out just fine. But yeah, you see the whole chassis is painted with the Steelite, and they are our new partner for this year. So it's awesome. They're stepping into, you know, not only the drift scene, but also the road racing scene, you know, not just truck stuff. And they're an amazing company to work with. And it also is just very high quality paint. It's just, it lays down so well.
And you're going to use this for your new Z build too.
Oh yeah, we used it on our last year chassis too, and we've been using it on basically every chassis we build. You know, basically we always go with gray on the chassis, it helps you find the leaks, and on the exterior components we hit them with a little bit of the black.
And you can actually weld it too, right?
Technically you can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you're, like the idea was like, yeah, if you're like stuck out in the middle of nowhere, you're trying to do a quick fix, you can snap right to it. So, because it has that stainless steel effect to it, which gives it the strength, and it also allows it to lay down very easy and very strong. Like when you spray it, it's funny because the first people, or when people first use it, I see them spray like, oh, like it looks like it's got a fisheye because it just lays in so thick, and then it just like as it dries, it just smooths out. It makes you look like a hero because everything you paint, as long as you don't lay it on too thick, it just smooths right out, and it just gives you a perfect paint job.
All of this, is this all Sabon stuff?
All Sabon stuff,
This is the stuff that you run on your drift car too,
Yes,
right?
it is. Yeah, so the same hatch, the same doors. These are the quarter panels that we make in-house. Nismo body kit, front and rear. We went with the version 2 front instead of the 3. I like the look of it a little bit better for the road racing. Sabon front fenders. We added these scoops to, you know, let some air out of the front wheel wells. And then up front, yeah, this is some race car stuff. We got the front end taped up, brother.
Yeah. So what you were talking to Bryan kind of just before I started rolling about the temps going up and down.
So we taped up the front mostly because it was cold this morning, right? And it wouldn't even get up to temp. Yeah, you see some Z1 coolers. We got the Z1 power steering cooler, the Z1 oil cooler, all tucked away nicely. But yeah, so Bryan, he came around. It was like maybe 4th lap, 3rd lap. And I just hear him on the front straight. He's like, water temps are at 230. How far do I go? And I was like, crap. I was like, 240, 250. Because I first said 240 because that's like my cutoff for the drift car. But on an NA car, I'm like, you can go a little further because there's no boost behind it. So I was like, 250. and he comes back around, and I'm like waiting for him to be like, it's 238, you know?
Yeah.
But he said it was 225 because he got around that Corvette.
Got
so as soon as he got around, got some fresh air, it started coming back down. So I was like, wow, it's like, makes that much a difference. So like this is like max capacity tape that we want to run on it's like 65 degrees out. So on a hot day, no tape. And then in the mornings and the cooler temps, we can run a little on the bottom.
So do you have to take a penalty for this?
Nope.
Because this is stock.
That's factory, yeah.
Got it.
So if we put like a big splitter on it, it would that'd be a penalty.
Interesting.
So you ready to check out a very factory engine bay?
It's like the most detuned VQ
of all time.
Yeah, of all time.
It might be.
I can't believe how much power you took out of it.
So we still, you can see it was squirting a little water, all good. But yeah, so we have Mishimoto radiator, and we have the Z1 intake kits, and this is a little air box that we built in the shop.
Oh,
so
cool.
the intakes actually sit in the box, and it fully seals off so that the two coolers and the rad are all confined inside of here. So anything that goes through the front end basically gets pushed right through the coolers. So instead of just like kind of turbulating the engine bay like our stupid drift cars do.
There's filters here?
Yeah, so around the other side of that is the tube, and then filter here. So you gotta take the whole box apart to get to them, but I mean, how often are you digging those out?
Yeah.
And then save on carbon hood, of course. We got some vents in it to help with the airflow. And factory show tower bar, factory engine. We didn't really do much to it, obviously, except take horsepower away from it. We did radium fuel pressure regulator just to get a little more stable. So this is our ABS unit, which we had to plumb in. It's a custom setup that we did on the car. That was a bit of a learning curve, getting it all wired in and dialed in, because we take out the ABS. I remember when we were building the car, and Brian's like, we're keeping the ABS, right? I'm like, are you like messing with me? I literally thought he was messing with me. He's like, oh no, we like need ABS. I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was like race car stuff, like use the pedal. I don't know.
Wait, what's your foot for? I thought you have such a crazy foot that you can like feel it out and everything.
Yeah, and so now it's proven to be very beneficial. So we got that in there, plumb that all up. Very factory over here, factory, booster, masters, and everything else. We got a little Z1 brake master stopper.
I'm
keep
excited.
That thing from flexing.
I got one for the 350. I can't wait to put
it
that
will
on.
blow your mind how much that moves.
Really?
Like it will move like a ½ inch. If you are leaning on that pedal, like you will see this whole booster just like whoop, whoop.
So this is so fun for me because I love the fact that you went backwards.
Yeah.
Most people, most teams, most drift car builders, it's like they started off with something else, like drag racing or road racing or whatever. And then they got into drifting. It's like, oh, this is what I have to do to build a drift car. Yeah. You went completely backwards. Like,
hey, I blame Gridlife. We're out hanging out and we're like, that looks pretty cool what all those guys are doing.
Yeah.
Seeing like a 50 car field out there wheel to wheel. And like, we start reading into the rules and we're like, wow, that looks like it could be really fun, and that's like right when we met Bryan, and we were wanting to do more with our partners outside of just me and my drift car. We're like, well, let's get, a car out on track, doing some road racing, wheel to wheel stuff, because a lot of our partners make bolt-on stuff for more factory cars, right? So, like I said, all these like Z1 components all fit onto factory 370Zs, and then we use obviously like we go with a couple things like this brake package from Willwood is a bolt-on system that you can buy right from the factory. Nothing's really modified about it at all. And then of course we got rotiform. These were custom though. Woo! 1811 ZWS monoblocks. These are amazing.
But these are forged, so this is super
These are
light
forged.
too.
They're very nice, very light. They're probably still hot, so be careful.
Got it. Yeah, they are very warm.
But yeah, so these little like tire splats, like we like whip those up at the shop, just like fun little stuff like that, trying to make the car as good as it can be. We got these tiny little mirrors on it.
Right now, Nissan, they build a sports car, and then now you have the new Z coming out that you probably just have to take the turbos off to race this. It has to be like so detuned.
That's a good idea.
It's just like a VR30 NA.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Yeah, because we're hoping to bring a new Z out next year.
Right.
In GLTC.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool.
It'll be really cool to see out there.
Because it's just about having these cars out there. You know, you're running against Corvettes that it's probably even crazier to detune the LSs even more, right? From the factory, they're probably making double.
Oh, they're making a lot. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they pull it out of those cars. We do it with the throttle bodies. I'm not quite sure how they do it. Probably the same way, just electronic throttle body, driving it back. I know that's what that's 2000 guys do. That's the most common way to detune the cars with all the electronic throttle body systems. And then going into the car, of course.
Let me go on from this side.
Yeah.
There's just so many interesting things. Yeah, so like
I know,
the mirrors,
so many little things.
This actually helps a lot with aero, right?
Oh yeah, because I had different mirrors on there and they were kind of moving around too much. Then we put the factory mirrors on and they're just a lot of drag. And so I whipped up these little carbon mounts bolted onto the factory thing and got little blind spot mirrors. And they work really well. We're actually, I wanted to see if he liked them, and then even Bryan was like, you should pop those off and paint them with the Steelite. So nice and black. I was like, oh yeah, good call. Inside the car, we have a GSR 4-speed, the same one we run in our drift cars. So mainly because it's a faster shifting setup, it's way lighter weight, taking weight off the front end of the car, allowing us to move to the back, and also it's much more serviceable, but mostly about the fast, reliable shifts. Because he's just slamming gears and back on the throttle. Because if a light hesitation or even a misshift, a hesitation is a half a car and a misshift is like 3 cars. So you don't want that. Other things we have, this is a cool little unit. So we wired this into the car and we had Rick Motec, the guys that built our sim, make a custom little steering wheel plate that has, so it's got his lap timer, it's got his high beam flasher, and the radio call out button on it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's all on there.
Some video game stuff going back into cars has come full circle.
Yeah. I know we're laughing at it for him. We're like, hey, remember this? And so, and we went with we got the rugged radio in there. So we got the big unit so we can talk to him further.
This is exactly what I have in my FJ, dude.
Yeah,
this is what I used to talk to people like King of the Hammers.
Yeah. So we mounted one of these in here instead of just like the handheld. It gets much better range. We got the antenna up on the roof, and we did a wiring harness and a Motec PDM on the car with John Reed Racing. So he got us, a simple little switch panel. We did the PDM 15 and a nice little motorsports harness to just lose all the factory stuff out of the car and get it, lightweight, reliable, and it's just like the right way to do it. So everything is just on here, no relays, no switches. Kill switch in the car, kill switch outside the car too. And then we have the
what's that?
That's none of your freaking business, Larry. This is in cockpit adjustable sway bar.
Oh.
I just added this. Oh. So, but it broke, so it's actually not working right now, which is why it's just moving around freely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it broke in the first race, so we're gonna see if we can fix it for tomorrow. So, but we just have it kind of dialed in right now. Yeah, little AEM dash, and this is cool. It's like, the one screen that he really likes is this. So it's actually, once again, video game stuff. I mean, I don't know, this is probably just race car stuff. But it shows you predicted time, his fastest lap time, the last lap, his current run time, and then up here, it's showing if he's faster or slower in the run.
What?
Yeah, so like how you have that little green or red, in the corner of your screen on the sim.
Or if you're plus or minus the sector times.
Yeah, so this thing's tracking him, and it tells him if he's picking up or dropping off.
So, and that kind of comes into play certain times when you're potentially leading, right?
When you're leading,
and when you're doing qualifying.
Yeah, so you can obviously, in qualifying, he can see, if he's like really falling off, he can kind of back off and just like come around and give another flyer. Also, you can tell if you're, because we try and communicate with him if he's, same thing, if he's, gaining on, the cars in front, he knows he can push it. If he's like getting, hot water temps or something, because we have it taped up too much, and he's got a gap, he can kind of see how he's favoring and not just like totally out of the gas. It'll give him a predicted like 2 second, so he can see how far back someone is. So yeah, it's just trying to give him a lot of information inside the car. It's a short race, they're only 20-minute races, but a lot can happen in 20 minutes.
So 2 things.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is important enough for you to be here because right now the new Z is back at your shop, just getting completely thrashed.
Yep.
Because FD Long Beach is right around the corner. And,
It's like a month away.
and you have a lot to do on that car.
Oh, yeah.
Your new drift car. And you don't have your old drift car anymore, right?
No, we have it. Yeah, we really don't want to pull back out. We're really trying to get that new one done.
Yeah.
Biggest thing is trying to get some of the components. Like there's some things I ordered back in November we still don't have yet. So that's what's kind of killing us. We were supposed to have the car a lot sooner than we did, so that kind of pushed things back too. But guys doing a great job. It's fully caged out. We have like the training tunnels modified. We have what else? Like some of the bulkhead done. Getting the whole back end's cut off, and we're getting ready to start fitting the motor into it, things like that.
But with that said, the reason why you're here is because this is also a very important part of your program.
Yeah, it's a very important part. It's also the very first race, so it kind of like sets the tone for the year.
Yeah.
And it's going good. We qualified 5th. We actually had an issue during qualifying, so it kind of maybe messed with his head a little bit and slowed him down. But we had basically the wheel rubbed through the reservoir hose on our shock and let all the oil out. So we actually only had like 3 shocks on the car. So it was kind of pogoing around. So he dropped like a second or two and finished up 5th, which isn't bad. He probably would have been like maybe 2nd. I don't know if he would have got pole, but on race 1, started 5th, finished 5th, but he did get the fastest lap on the last lap. So next race he starts 1st.
That's good. Yeah. For a short race, it makes it super
you got to start that front row if you want to get a run at it.
And then second, you seem to be so excited about this. Do you think you're going to want to race this one day?
I want to. I would love to get out there and just like rip some laps and at least see how I do. But yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like maybe this is something I could like start doing in like a year or two, like when we have some more room and some bigger trailers to fit more cars. Be rad to have a pair of like Newsies out there.
Yeah,
I'll be burning up the back of the field. Brian will be leading.
Come on, Nissan, you guys got to step it up, right? That's what it takes. I mean, that's the thing is, I love the fact that some of our other friends like Vaughn started racing other disciplines, and now he's doing so well in off-road, right?
Oh yeah.
And you never know, maybe you'll like road racing a lot,
It looks really fun. The wheel-to-wheel. I did one Lemons race like 12 years ago, and it was wheel-to-wheel, and I was having a freaking blast. So I can only imagine like doing this is pretty intense. So, especially since it's like a pretty packed field and the guys are really good. But yeah, I think it'd be a great time.
Well, always, it's such a good time to feature any of your cars. We've featured so many of your builds now, and every time is such a blast. The next feature is going to be your new drift car.
The first modified Z in the States.
Whoa.
Or even the first modified Z outside Nissan's hands, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's going to be good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
All right. See you, bud. Thank you.